When you're feeling stuck or demotivated in business, what do you need to do? Work more to make your business better, or find more balance to get your motivation levels back up? Well, in today's video, I'm comparing two wildly successful entrepreneurs, Alex Hormozi and Matt Gray. One works 12 hours a day and doesn't take holidays. The other works 4 hours a day and holidays every 4 to 6 weeks. But which approach actually works? And more importantly, which one is right for you? Alex Hormozi has become a social media sensation. He's got over 3.3 million followers on YouTube and 3.4 million followers on Instagram. He co-owns multiple businesses with his wife Layla and is reported to be worth over $100 million. On the surface, Alex's approach to business is working insanely hard.
I really enjoy working. I don't work on a 7-day calendar. I don't work a certain hour. I work as much as I can until I feel like my rate of output drops precipitously because of fatigue, and then I sleep.
And he and his wife also have a variety of videos talking about how they work 12 to 14 hours a day. Then we have Matt Gray. Matt Gray is a highly successful entrepreneur who's got over 900,000 followers on Instagram and 800,000 on LinkedIn. He sold his first business for an 8-figure sum at the age of 24 and now claims to be making over $750,000 a month. In contrast to Alex's content, Matt talks a lot about working a little and lifestyle outside of business.
If you thought of someone making $730K per month, how long would you guess they are working? Most would guess 12 to 14 hours a day. I'm doing the complete opposite. I'm currently on pace to do $9 million a year and only work 4 hours a day.
The fact that both of these guys are so successful shows that it's not a question of right or wrong. Both of these approaches work. So let's dig beyond the surface to get more insights on what's right for you. So let's start with the big question. How many hours should you actually be working to be successful as a business owner? Starting with Camp Alex Hormozi.
Working hard is quite a controversial topic in 2023.
I'm going to say some stuff that's going to bother some people. I work all the time. I have no hobbies besides working out. That's it. That's all I do.
So we know he works a lot, but how much does he actually mean when he says all of the time? And what is he advising to us?
I'd like to normalize a 6-day a week, 12-hour per day work week for men between 16 and 28. And despite all the self-worth voodoo that social media and society will tell you, you are valued based on your utility. And when you're young, you have none.
Okay, so in this video, Alex is suggesting a 12-hour working day, 6 days a week, which is a 72-hour working week. But he does caveat that he's suggesting this for men aged between 16 and 28 and gives some good thoughts and reasons on why that is. But the purpose of this video is to figure out what's best for us, business owners. And the fact you're watching bald-headed, bearded me means you're probably a bit older than 28. So let's figure out what Alex does for himself as he's an over 30-year-old business owner.
What does like a day in the life look like for you?
So usually 5 to 1 is Alex time to do whatever.
5 a.m. to 1.
Yeah. And then usually from 1 to 4 is when I do meetings, and then go to the gym, eat, and then I'm done.
So from this, we see 8 hours of uninterrupted project work, then 3 hours of meetings, so a 12-hour day. I checked out some more videos from Alex on his working days over the years, such as this one.
This is my actual productivity routine. 1 day a week for me, which is Mondays, I have my manager day. On that day, I maximize as many meetings as I possibly can. The other days of the week, I have completely empty because those are the days that I can make stuff. And when I make stuff, we make money. The next thing is that you'll notice that I book from back to front if I am going to have meetings. That way, I still have as much time in the morning as I can prior to meetings beginning.
And his business partner / wife, Layla, talks on this topic also and puts out videos like this.
The belief I hold about work is that 14 hours a day, that feels like a day's work. If I do 6 hours a day, it feels like I've done nothing.
So we conclude that the general approach of Layla and Alex is around 12 hours of working a day. Okay, so before we set up our new 12-hour workday routine, let's take a look at Matt Gray.
Fast forward to today, I only work 4 hours a day. I get to travel the world for 6 months out of the year, have total control over my time, and I'm in the best shape of my life.
So in contrast to Alex and Layla, Matt is actively pushing for working less. But here's something interesting I think we need to consider before setting up our 4-hour workday.
It wasn't always this way. When I was 22, I ran a coding boot camp in Canada where I was working 15-hour days and being run into the ground. It was a nightmare. I thought I had figured out how to be an entrepreneur, but I got it all wrong. I had no control and no freedom.
Before Matt got to his 4-hour working day, he worked 15 hours a day, which, although made him feel burnt out, also led to him achieving an 8-figure exit at the age of 24. So Matt talks about this like it was a mistake that he's learned from, but Alex talks about working hard in the early stages of business as a necessary part of the journey. So I got completely burnt out in my first business, working a lot of hours, but I've had my current business just as long and work just as many hours, but I don't feel burnt out at all. In fact, something I've realized from working with tons of different business owners since 2020 is we don't necessarily get burnt out because we're working a lot. We get burnt out because we're working a lot on the wrong things because of stress. Alex Hormozi does a fantastic job of summarizing that in this short video here.
Most of the reason that you can't work 14 hours a day is because it's in here. It is not your physical being. It is your mentality around work. And it's the pressure you probably put on yourself about work. If work causes you stress and you have constant cortisol levels that are high when you're working because you're judging yourself for your output and you hold false beliefs about what will happen if you don't do good work, then work will feel stressful, long, and you won't want to work.
So I think it's fair to say that the sweet spot for working hours as a business owner is somewhere between 4 and 12 hours a day. Now, Alex and Layla are on the higher end of that, but they also regularly discuss how much they just love business. So for them, it's almost like their free time or their hobby time automatically goes into more business. Now, Matt is a pro systemizer and delegator, and he's got a much heavier focus on spirituality and lifestyle. So he's sitting at that 4-hour end. So I think for most of us, the sweet spot is somewhere in the middle. Probably if we've got more of a focus on lifestyle, trying to just drift towards the 4 hours. And if we just love business and working more, probably trying to drift more towards the 12 hours. So now let's ask the next important question, which is what should you work on during those hours as a business owner?
Deep work is sacred time that you have to work on stuff that only you can do. Stop whatever you're doing, go to your calendar right now, and block off 4 hours daily for deep work. Let's talk about what to work on. The next system you want to think about is really being able to focus on your zone of genius and then understanding the math to delegation. You should be making sure that you are positioned as close to revenue generating activities as possible. Anything that does not fulfill your hourly rate, you should delegate, automate, or eliminate. This math is life-changing because when you get it right, you remove yourself from working in your business and give yourself the freedom to work on your business.
Matt is saying your 4 hours a day should be spent on high leverage, deep work. Now, Matt's emphasis is on systemizing and delegating and promoting the business. And what I've learned from watching these videos is that these are all activities that he is good at, that he enjoys, and that add value to his business. So this means that his business continues to grow and he continues to enjoy the process. Now, I know the mistake I made in my first business was spending most of my time on things that I had fell out of love with and that didn't grow the business. And I think this is a really common trap for business owners and leaves you in this position where you're working tons of hours, you're doing work that you don't enjoy, so you're drained, and nobody's focusing on the growth of the business. So now let's check out Camp Alex.
What's your day looking like? What's on the agenda?
Leadership meeting, pipeline review, book meeting, and I have a bi-weekly with 2 of our teammates that I try and do with some of the non-executive team.
And you do that every day? You try and block up until like noon or 1?
Yeah.
I really realized I would love to do with acquisition.com.
And yes, let's switch to pipeline. Hello.
Hey, who are you talking to?
So we're doing for you guys. Tobias, what's up, man? Tell me your most painful moment. I feel really confident in saying that, like, I know I certainly will. There are some things that are gonna get...
So I've dug into a lot of videos on Alex Hormozi, and although he has a lot of variations of his working day over the past few years, the common theme is starting the day with a period of deep work, very similar to Matt Gray. Now, in this time, he focuses on things that he's good at and where he adds value to the business. Again, very similar to Matt Gray. The difference is the time frame, with Alex spending around 7 hours on this block and Matt doing 4.
So usually 5 to 1 is Alex time to do whatever.
5 a.m. to 1.
Yeah. And then usually from 1 to 4 is when I do meetings, and then go to the gym, eat, and then I'm done.
Now, I know we've already seen that video that I just shared, but it reminds us that after his deep work block, he's doing other people work, which includes leadership and management tasks. So without breaking it down into micro details, we know that he breaks the bulk of his time between deep, uninterrupted work, management and leadership work, with the bulk of his time being spent on deep work. And for me, the big revelation here is that although these guys both have seemingly different philosophies on the surface, when it comes to what work they're doing, they're both very similar, dedicating most of their time to deep work, which is the stuff that they are good at, that has the most positive impact on the business and that grows the business. So now the part that might surprise you, how these two approach time off and recovery. So let's start this one with Alex, because His approach to balance and taking time off is quite contrarian.
I work until I can't work, and then I usually binge some sort of television. I don't take many vacations, but I do travel all the time to work and to work from. Actual true days off, we tend to, Layla and I, take when we need rest. And so if we feel burnt out, we will take the day to recharge and then we will work.
So pretty black and white, really. Alex works until he's tired and doesn't take holiday time off, but he does travel to work in different locations. But it's more important to note here that, again, both Alex and his wife Layla regularly state that they enjoy business, that business is their hobby.
I do as much as I can of the thing that I want to do with every minute of my day. Why do you want me to do something that I would prefer to do less?
So although this might seem extreme on the surface, I think it's just them doing a lot of what they enjoy most, which is business. And I think that's something that we have to consider when we're planning our time off and balance, because I know for me personally that I really enjoy business, but I also have a love for other things like travel, adventure. And when I neglect those things, I start to feel flat. So for me, taking the Hormozi approach to balance just wouldn't work. P.S. If I wanted to criticize Alex for his lack of work-life balance, this would be his response.
I get criticized all the time for work-life balance. People are like, well, you don't have any hobbies, Alex. I don't fucking want any. So why do I have to sacrifice things that I would prefer to do things I don't want to do to satisfy your objective measure of what you deem as work-life balance?
So let's check out Matt's approach now. So when it comes to time off and work-life balance, Matt's approach is quite different to Alex Hormozi's. Now, this comes off very quickly when you look at the general style of Matt's content and messaging. Lots of his videos are of him in different locations around the world, meditating, relaxing, exercising, and having fun. When it comes to balance and switch off time, Matt's actually got a specific system that he recommends.
After doing that deep work for 4 weeks consistently, you need a break. I like to go and take a trip. I call it a soul trip. A soul trip is a chance to recharge and really revitalize yourself. It helps me on a deeper level. I view it as a tool that helps me get clear, boost my creativity, get the juices and the mojo flowing again, really reduce things like burnout. I'd recommend that right now you look, say 3-4 weeks out and you decide on what is your soul trip gonna be? What's that thing that you're gonna do to disconnect from the deep work and go and actually live life? Go block off your calendar, go book that trip, let's go.
So the impression I get is that Matt doesn't adhere to the traditional Monday to Friday working week, just like he doesn't adhere to the typical 9-to-5 working day. Matt's approach is to prioritize deep work on projects that grow or systemize your business for around 4 to 6 weeks at a time, then to take time away from your business to recharge using what he calls a soul trip. I actually found a more detailed guide he's done on this soul trip system here.
I'ma drop one rhyme, but every time I cross the thin line between yours and mine, see it's part of my design. Shifting paradigm, yin and yang combined. Must be out your mind, thinking star would never shine. Props do, focus with a hawk's eye view. I'm all that a plantain and termites.
So Matt is quite prescriptive with his soul trips, and he suggests they should happen every 6 weeks. It should last a minimum of 4 days. It should be a complete switch off from work and the digital world, so phones off. And he also says embrace the Japanese concept of forest bathing. Maybe we need to do some more research in that. There's some other stuff that he advises as well, so I'll share the link to this post of his in the video description so you can go and dig that out more. So for me, Matt's approach is more appealing than Alex Hormozi's approach, not because it's right, just because that's more aligned to and attuned to my personality and my values. I really enjoy working, but when I work too long without time off and without a change of scenery, I start to feel really flat and demotivated. I did that for 5 years in my first business and it just made me feel miserable. So it obviously works for Alex, but it just doesn't work for me. Alex and Layla work pretty much all of the time, but I think the key thing is that they do this because they want to, not because they feel like they have to. Most of the owners I've worked with over the past 4 years would like to take more time off, would like to have more fun and adventure in their lives, but they can't because the daily operations of their businesses are too dependent on them. I don't think there's a right and wrong way to do work-life balance, and this is clearly demonstrated by these two kind of like super inspiring business leaders achieving the levels of success that they have by doing very different things. I think the answer to my question of how do we get ahead with more grind or more balance lies not in what's different about Matt Gray and Alex Hormozi's approach, but actually what's the same. Now, here's where things get really interesting. So despite their apparently opposing approaches, Hormozi and Gray share some surprising commonalities. Both prioritize their physical health, both integrate travel into their lives, both focus intensely on deep work, Both delegate operations and daily tasks, and both work with strong partners or teams. I got totally burnt out in my first business, and doing research like this makes it blatantly clear to me why that happened. So I stayed stuck in daily operations for too long. I neglected marketing the business and told myself that the business would just grow to what it needed to be if I just kept working harder. I put a lot of unnecessary stress on myself mentally, and I didn't partner with people. Now, I'm nowhere near the level of success of inspiring entrepreneurs like these guys, but I'm always learning from people like them, and I'm reaping the benefits from doing so. So I'm not making millions, but I've gone from being a stressed and unhealthy business owner who felt completely trapped to genuinely enjoying owning a business and having a great lifestyle by implementing a lot of what we've covered in this video. There's a report from 2024 that showed that over half of small and medium business owners in the UK report symptoms of poor mental health attributed to owning a business. Multiple studies show that over 50% of small and medium business owners work over 50 hours a week, and over 80% of self-employed work in the evenings just to manage their admin tasks related to their business. As business owners, we have to be careful that we're not falling into the trap of thinking that high volume equates to more business success. My personal experience, as well as the stats that I've just shared, show us that there's a lot of business owners working a lot of hours for it to only lead to poor mental health and businesses that can't scale or be sold. I think the lesson we can take from both Matt and Alex is that yes, you're going to have to work a lot to achieve good success in business, but you have to be disciplined and work on the right things. In the early stages of business, you've got to work a lot because you're involved in everything, but as soon as possible, you have to get yourself out of the daily operations and commit around 4 hours a day to working on your business, not in it. And perhaps most importantly, you should be working on the things you're good at, that you enjoy, and that add growth to the business. Both Alex and Matt work on the tasks that they know they are strong at and add the most value to their businesses. The worst thing you can do as a business owner is stay stuck trying to do everything, spending loads of time on the stuff you're not good at and don't enjoy. It drains you, it drains your team, and it leads to your business stagnating. So what's the answer to my original question? Is it better to work harder or is it better to work smarter? And I think the truth is success requires both, but applied correctly at the right stages of your journey. So you've got to identify your business stage and adjust your hours accordingly. You've got to block in at least 4 hours daily for deep, uninterrupted work. You've got to systematically remove yourself from operations. You've got to schedule your recovery before you need it, and you've got to build your business around your strengths. I'm going to throw that stat up again. Over 50% of small and medium business owners report symptoms of poor mental health. Don't be one of them. The goal isn't to just build a successful business, but to create one that serves your lifestyle. Building my first business nearly broke me. Building my second business has transformed my life. And the difference isn't working harder, it's working with more intention, being clear that I want to enjoy the business and that the business should work for me. And I want you to do the same. If you found this breakdown valuable, hit that subscribe button and notification bell. And what I'm going to do now is link a video to one of our clients who's gone from being stuck in their business to taking a 90-day backpacking trip. So I'm going to link that video around here. We've also got a free Facebook group that I'd love you to come over and join. You can find that in the video description. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.